Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 320 of the Drunk Testers podcast. I'm your host, as always. I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Double or nothing. That's all I got to say, man. After this weekend, this Memorial Day weekend of nothing but playing bits of games, watching some wrestling for a change, actual legitimate wrestling content that I'm happy with, and having like a sort of a relaxing day, it's like I feel freaking awesome. Yeah, man, it's like, when you go through the regular work days and stuff like that, and it's like everything feels like the same. Oh, sorry about that. It seems like somebody's replying on me on Twitter again. But, like I was saying, when it seems like the work days just all kind of lump in, like each day between the next and something, it just feels awesome when like something out of the ordinary just pops up and you have no clue what it's going to be or something like that until it hits, and all of a sudden it becomes something incredibly awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, you know what? I'm doing fucking okay, Tyler. How about you?
Doing good now. I will say, though, we love video games. We love a lot of, nerd stuff. We love a lot of things in life, but nothing hits the high of, great wrestling.
Yeah, no
for,
shit.
For nerd stuff. When it's great, it's the best. And I will always the best game of all time. I love playing those games. When you hit that that magical game you're playing, but when something incredible happens in wrestling, it's still to this day the coolest thing in the world to me. When there's a great moment that happens, and the stuff with AEW, and then last year with what was it, All In, all that was those moments don't happen often. If you're lucky, once or twice a year, sometimes longer, but it's from what it seems like. I didn't watch it. I've seen bits and pieces of it. When I watch it though, after the fact, it's still pretty incredible with some of the moments they had in there, and then the wrestling just looks fantastic. So it's gonna be week to week here soon. So that's gonna be great.
I know, man. It's that's just the thing. Everyone that's listening right now, it's like Tyler and I, we've loved pro wrestling ever since around the 90s and stuff like that. At least over 20 years worth of stuff. And just seeing little bits of AEW, just the whole hints and stuff of the little highlights and the people just getting excited over every little thing and stuff on Twitter and stuff. It gave me the same feeling of excitement I had when I was a kid growing up, watching WCW and WWF go head to head with one another, the whole Monday Night Wars and stuff, with you don't know what's going to be happening and stuff. I'll tell you what, I didn't have a chance to watch that full on pay-per-view because for one, it was $50. For another, it was unfortunately, it's that time of the month where I can't really pay for too much of anything because I am broke. But at the same time, it's it just gave me the sense of feeling of excitement, because it kind of felt reminiscent to the first WCW Monday Nitro in sort of a retrospect.
Ooh, yeah.
Because there were certain parallels that I kind of akin to it. Now, granted, the whole show of Double or Nothing was a lot better than the first episode of WCW, but there are some parallels to it, especially the surprise wrestlers that managed to pop in on the card that nobody knew was even going to appear there. Awesome Kong was one for the women's match, and then you had John Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, in the whole WWE. Nobody knew that he had signed with AEW up until last Saturday night. And, oh my gosh, I kid you not, for those of you that are pro wrestling fans, if you even want to check out who John Moxley is, by all means, check out some of his old promos, I think CZW or wherever. He basically, without a script, without any of the types of stuff, when he cuts promos, man, he cuts some hardcore promos. And having him inside of AEW, just unrestricted, nobody has a freaking script or doing hokey crap that he doesn't like or something. He's just basically raw himself, and he looked visibly happy when he made his appearance in AEW. I'll just say that for it's not even an understatement, man. He is freaking happy at this moment. But yeah, man, it's very exciting to be a wrestling fan right now.
Yeah, so I'm excited to look at all that stuff up here. I'm gonna have to watch that throughout the week. No, for me though, I what was it? We went and saw John Wick 3 yesterday.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Courtney had never seen it before, and my family asked if we want to go see it with them. We went and saw it last night, and I made her watch the first two movies. I don't think she liked them too much. She said there's parts I think she liked, but for the most part, no, she didn't. I don't think she did. But no, it was I enjoyed it quite a bit. I love the John Wick movies, and there's not enough movies or not enough films out there that have knife fights and knife museums. And now I feel like any movie I watch nowadays, it's required to have one of those, because it happens like the first 15 minutes of the movie, so it's not much of a spoiler. But the fight in that part is probably the greatest action scene I've ever seen in a movie before. I feel like every movie should have one of these, even like the next Space Jam 2. That should just have LeBron James should just knock out all the Monstars in a knife museum with knives. That's how it should begin. That should just be the movie. It's just been one long cut of him fighting Monstars with knives.
I'm just seeing LeBron James just trying to fight off the Monstars with a well-placed knife inside of a basketball, and all of a sudden when he throws the basketball, the knife just shoots out and just stabs one of them.
Yeah, make that happen, please. Because the movie peaked there. It was still a great movie, but it peaked there for me.
And all of a sudden you just have Oberfud like in the back of the corner or something like that got Doc Quick.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh man, Keanu Reeves should just be in every movie and show up and throw knives as John Wick. That should be the new thing. Every movie it's in the contract. He has to be in every movie that goes in the theaters. I want him to show up in the next Avengers movie, and like retroactively, you can just stop the movie. Like he just kills. Oh Jesus, what the fuck's his name? The main bad guy. I just blanked his name. I almost said Thor. That's not Thor. Anyways, the big guy. Kill him with a knife in a knife museum. Have him fight. He would kill him immediately. It wouldn't even be a fair fight. But yeah, I saw that. Liked that a lot. It was fun also getting to watch we basically watched all 3 John Wick movies in like a 24-hour span. So that was great for me. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that quite a bit. We also I got my like first real haircut in my entire life. Since like I don't know, since I've been able to get my own haircuts, I usually just when I would go the like Great Clips or whatever, I'd always just get the buzz cut, you know. And I've learned over time in the last few months that I don't have a thing called style, and I'm slowly progressively getting that, I guess. I don't know. I still get a few times a week. I'm like, I get what are you wearing? Like that doesn't match. You can't wear that with that. I'm like, oh, I've been wearing this for 25 years. Maybe this is why I've been single most of my life. I don't know. So I've been slowly learning what you're not supposed to wear with what and what you're supposed to wear with what. So I got my first real haircut I got like the part on the top there, and I got like the fade on the sides, and I left it like super long. They didn't even touch the top, and I don't know what the hell it's supposed to be called. But it looks bad. I walked in the door and she's like, I hate it. You look like a lesbian.
That's what your girlfriend calls you when you walk down with that new haircut and some trust.
Mm-hmm. And then we
look like a closet lesbian.
It's not very closeted if you see me right now. People just probably assume. And then we went to a birthday party on later that day, and at that point I didn't want to go because I was so embarrassed. And then I wore a hat, and she's like, "Oh, show me your new haircut." I'm like, "I don't want to do this right now. I'll just show him." And I took my hat off, and one of the girls there was like, "Oh, my stepmom had one of those haircuts too." So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is terrible.
Yep. So that's me now. I have one of those.
And that's why I shaved my head.
Yeah, I thought about it a few times. If I just keep shaving my head and eventually it just won't grow back, that'd be great. That'd save a lot of time and money. This was like the most expensive haircut ever. Like usually I hate getting haircuts. Yeah. I hate cutting my own hair. It's just a waste of time. And if I go to pay for one, it's just a waste of money because it's just like I pay $20 with a tip to get a less than 5-minute haircut. And a lot of times you got to wait half an hour to get your haircut. It's like, this is ridiculous. By the time I could have got my hair cut, grew my hair back, got my hair cut again in that time frame. That's how fast my hair grows. And so I hate it because every like 2 weeks to get my hair cut. So Fucking went and got a haircut. This was like $40. It was fucking stupid for this. $40 for this. Fucking goddamn it. If I went to a women's prison, I'd be the most popular girl there. So that's yeah. Now I got Tuesday off. Today's Monday, by the way. And I'm even more not looking forward to going to work than I was before. So
because of that haircut.
Yeah.
Hey, who's the new girl? Anyway. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Yeah. So. Yep. So that's me now. But anyways, this is a video game podcast. We're talking about video games. So do you want to jump into video games first or news?
Let's go jump into news first.
Okay. So we got a plethora of topics this week. Let's jump into some of the stuff that happened last week. And they talked all about Mario Maker 2. It was like 15 minutes, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And a lot of little things announced, like a lot of new tools and themes that we're going to have showed off. Some more, like the best thing I think is Meowsers in this game. Mm-hmm. So I already had this game pre-ordered, but that's a definite buy now at this point. There's nothing you can do. It's happening. But I think they announced they have a cooperative and competitive play online. You can make levels just for that. They're talking about you can like put a tag on them so they stick out. There's like a ranking system with versus mode, and then also you can actually like make levels with friends as well. So, and then there's gonna be 4-player like in-person co-op and competitive as well. And then they have like the voucher system that they're talking about, where you can, for $100 you can get 2 Nintendo games, which is actually pretty cool. So if there's like 2 games you want to buy, you get 20. I mean, if you're gonna buy 2, it's digital only. You save $20. Like there's no reason not to do it. And the cool thing is you don't have to buy both games at the same time. You can buy the voucher. Basically, you pay $100 for the voucher, and then you can you could buy a game now for $60, and then the next game you buy is gonna be $40. So if you wanted to, like right now, buy a voucher, buy Smash Brothers, and then in a month when it comes out, you can buy Mario Maker 2 for $40. So that's pretty cool. What'd you think of the whole direct, Gables?
I thought the Mario Maker 2 stuff was pretty good. I liked the idea that you had so much more like customization stuff. I mean, the whole Meowser stuff with Super Mario 3D World, that was pretty fun. That was definitely something different that the original Mario Maker didn't have. Although I am kind of interested in seeing if we'll see anything else like be added in terms of styles of Mario games, because there was room in that little taskbar that they have for styles of maybe like another Mario game aesthetic possibly being inside the mix sooner or later, maybe like in DLC content or wherever. It definitely leaves room to kind of speculate in terms of that, but I thought that the tools presented looked pretty fluid. Definitely seemed like there was a lot more emphasis upon just like creating and sharing, especially with the whole online multiplayer stuff, which, my God, we needed that in the first game so bad. More so than just like creating the courses and sharing it with people online. Although I'm glad that it is definitely going to be out soon, because I want to play that game, man. It's like they got their own independent single player mode.
Oh yeah, with like 100 different. I forgot about that. With like, over 100 levels or 100 levels exactly?
Yeah, it's like actual pre-made Mario levels and stuff by some of the actual people from Nintendo. So it's going to be like this single player aspect that was definitely lacking in the original. All they just told you to do in the original was just like, okay, here's some bits of courses right here you can create, now go. Oh boy. But yeah, this is Mario Maker 2 is definitely like having me excited. It's definitely one of a couple games that I want by the end of this year. But yeah, what were you thinking?
Like I said, this is a game that I loved Mario Maker 1. I got into, but it was like I've talked about it before. I'm not big into creating the stages. Like I had some fun with it, and but it was cool just checking out other people's stages, and then like seeing your friends' stages. That's the coolest part of it. And I hope they streamline. It seems like they're going to streamline like finding levels and everything easier than before, where it used to be like, here's the most popular ones, and it was almost always freaking those auto levels where you just don't press a button. And you saw a lot of the same creators over and over again, like the most played or most popular ones. So it's cool that we'll be able to filter through. I think that's, to me, like it's the small things that are going to make the biggest changes. And then hopefully they'll have I like the way they did with the friends list though, where like you automatically could see all the levels. And I hope they find a better way with the codes for like the codes for the levels. That was awful. But no, I'm definitely really excited about this game. I'm even more excited now because like I talked about in our last episode we did where like Courtney and I have been playing like Mario and stuff together, and I've never hit the fact that I've always talked about I'm terrible at games. I'm definitely terrible at older games like that. Like we're playing Mario 1 and I can't even get past World 5. Mario 3 we struggle to get through like World 2. So this is kind of cool, like because now when we play, like because we play them now, we get to keep going through the same levels over and over again, and it's fun. Right. But it's just like I want to see the new stuff, and I think this will be like endless amount of, like because we'll play that, we'll fail, start over, do it again. Then we're like, all right, we're done. So this will be like an endless like thing we can play all the time. Like that's like what we like to do. Like sometimes like on the weeknights and stuff like that, so we'll play some old school games or we'll play Mortal Kombat or something like that. So this I think will be perfect for us, where we can sit down and play. There's gonna be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of levels posted every day, and we'll be endless. I don't know how much we'll get into the creative side of it. I don't know if that's something that we'll get big into, but as like a couple, I think this will be perfect for us. And I especially love the being able to do online play and do co-op and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I think that's gonna add even more fun for us, and I think it's gonna add more fun for other people. So I think like there was, I was always like, as we're seeing more and more Nintendo games with like do the online, that's something we talk about ever since they started charging for people playing online, is you got to add value to it. And like they've done a good job of getting like, they got Fortnite out there, they got they're doing a good job of getting the third party stuff out there and getting some exclusive games and everything too, or at least exclusive content. But and like getting Mortal Kombat 11 was big on launch day. But the stuff they're doing I think they've been doing with the first party games has been really great with, things that they would Smash, like they've done. So I think they've done some good jobs. It's not perfect. There's game like PS4 and Xbox One do it better, but they definitely improved upon it. And what we've seen so far, I think is great. It just all comes down to how streamlined this stuff is going to be. That's the area they struggled at the most. Is it's just kind of clunky and it's like this feels like 10 years ago, kind of stuff. Yeah. And if they could find a better way, like Mario Maker 1 was excellent, one of the best games of last generation, probably the best game on the Wii U for a lot of people. But they could just find a way to streamline all that, make it easier to get around the menus. And then I think this is a damn near perfect game to me personally. And seeing all this just made me even more hyped. And just, the more I think about it, the more excited I get. Like I keep telling her, I'm like, when this game comes out, this is going to be a game changer. Like this is the game we're going to play. We could play for years and not see the same thing twice. So yeah, I'm really excited about this game. Even more so than before. But anything you want to add before we move on to the other Nintendo news?
Oh no, let's go on.
Okay, so this I don't know. It's not really. I don't know what we could talk about in this one. This one's kind of difficult. But this is Monday night, Memorial Day. We're recording this, and it was announced I think late yesterday or early today. They're having a Pokemon Direct on June 5th, and there's a Pokemon conference going on tomorrow night. Both of which will be live streamed. I think the Pokemon Direct is like 6:00 in the morning your time.
Right.
Gables on the Pacific time, and then the conference is like 6:00 at night for you. So both, like I said, both of which you can watch on Twitch or YouTube. There is a guy at the apartment complex across from me driving up onto the grass right now. I don't know what's happening right now. His headlights are pointing right at my eyes. That's great. I don't fucking know what's happening. There's a lot of dumb people over here. Okay. Anyways, but that's going on. And then also this is happening too at the Pokemon Direct. So I'm assuming we're going to see some Sword and Shield stuff. We know for a fact on the Pokemon Direct we're going to see Sword and Shield. The conference thing, I don't know what we can see on that. But I looked up before the show. We were talking about it and looked up. And last year, Let's Go games were announced and revealed there. And then they had, I think they had then they showed off more at the Direct for the E3, which is holy shit. That's like 2 weeks away. We got to figure out what we're gonna do for that because that's
very
insane.
True.
Yeah, it is. I don't even know how we're gonna do the recording for that stuff because like half of the like EA's not doing it. They're doing like an all day thing, and then PlayStation's not there. We're gonna have to talk this out because I don't have a fucking clue. But E3 is weird now. I guess it was weird forever, but now it's even weirder. I don't know, Gables. I mean, you're obviously more the Pokemon fan. You're more excited about Sword and Shield than I am. I'm casual. I'm like, this game I'm probably gonna pick up and play, but it's gonna be like I'm gonna play it for 6-8 hours, and I'm like, I'm done with this just because we've talked about it a million times before. But where are you at on this, and what are you expecting out of these?
Honestly, I'm not really expecting too much out of the Pokemon conference and stuff. I think potentially, we could see maybe like a little mobile game possibly unveiled, or quite possibly maybe some more like content presented maybe with Pokemon Go. I mean, that's a safe bet, but if it was anything like, say, last year around this time, it could be some little cues of Pokemon Sword and Shield information, despite us having like a direct being around like a week before E3.
Yeah.
But at the direct, I'm kind of honestly not sure what to expect from that. I mean, we've already have seen the starter Pokemon, and quite honestly, I'm not too sure what else they are going to be showing, like gameplay wise. Maybe some new creatures here and there, but it could also be like the whole new evolution thing that they have been teasing about. That supposed, like, what was this, that whole teaser, like, around the time a couple months ago, with the armored evolution type of stuff, possibly?
Yeah. Yep, remember that.
Or something akin to it. I mean, there were a bunch of rumors with the actual Nintendo Direct, the last Pokemon Direct that we had. But honestly, if I'm going to expect anything from the upcoming Direct, it's probably going to be more new Pokemon that we haven't seen before, potentially maybe some new gimmick or something that's going to tie into the Sword and Shield, and quite possibly maybe a release date.
Yeah, that makes most sense. I can see, like, because it's weird, because every year around at the end of May or beginning of June, they've always done like a little mini direct, and they announced a new.
Yeah.
Like they did that with X and Y, Sun and Moon, the new, what was it, the second Sun and Moon games?
Let's see, it was Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Yeah. And then last year they did the Let's Go games. They always announced it a week or two before E3, and they kind of bucked the system this year by announcing doing the little mini direct in, like, what was it, like March, I want to say.
Yeah.
So they've definitely changed the game on that. So it's like, what are we, like, this conference they're having tomorrow? They do it every year, I know, but like you said, like, I know DNA, who makes like the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp and the Super Mario Run, like, they said they're making a new game, so maybe we'll get a little thing for that. But the game is supposed to come out. They said it's not coming out until probably beginning of next year, but they said the same thing about like Mario Kart Tour. They did this, like, every mobile game that Nintendo's made has gotten delayed at least once.
Yep.
So I don't think that's happening, because that game's probably a year out. When Mario Kart, the mobile game, was supposed to be out before into March of this year, and the little beta just came out this past week. So who the hell knows what's going on with that? So yeah, I guess I don't know if we should expect a lot or a little. Maybe they'll reveal some stuff, and that could be like a teaser for the direct next week. I think if anything, that's what we'll get, but I don't expect a lot from that.
Right.
So who knows? But I'm definitely looking forward. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to watch them, but I don't foresee much. Like, I'm more looking and see what they're going to do with like the Pokeball Plus thing. Like, I keep bringing it up, but I'm like,
right.
I paid $50 for this thing last year, like 6 months ago, and I'm like they're gonna have to do something with this. On one hand, I don't want to use it again because it cramped my fucking hand up, but I don't want to use. I hope they don't make us use the fucking Joy-Con like we had to last year, because that was terrible too. Like, let me just use the controller. But I'm curious if they're going to have like some sort of interplay with the Pokeball Plus. I think that's the main thing for me. If they make us use the Joy-Con again, I'm definitely not going to play this game, because that sucked. I did not like that with the Pokemon Go mechanics. But I don't know. I think what we'll see at the Direct next week. We'll talk about next week when it happens. But we're going to see. Probably, I bet we'll see a release date. And they, like I said, they do the little mini direct every year, and then they don't really talk about it. They maybe mention it in the actual E3 direct. So I don't know. Maybe this will be their big thing. It's 15 minutes long. We'll probably see this will be the big blowout for it, and then maybe we'll hear something for it at the end of the summer or fall. I bet this is like a November game, October game.
Right.
What does Nintendo have on the docket this year? Actually, we got Mario Maker next month.
Well, we got the Luigi's Mansion 3 that's going to possibly be released this year.
That's supposed to be this year. Animal Crossing is supposed to be out this year.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
We haven't seen nothing about Animal Crossing.
We just got 2019 for that. Fire Emblem is supposed to be out. Was supposed to be out supposed to be out before the end of summer or before the end of spring. I guess that was coming out in July, I want to say.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think it's July. I think it's already go. Yeah, it's like the end of July. So I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, there's probably some more stuff that's gonna be revealed. People keep talking about Metroid Prime 4. I don't see it. But what about you? Real quick on Metroid Prime 4. Do you think we'll see it at E3 this year?
Let's see. Honestly, for Metroid, I have no clue. They had to redo the entire development cycle.
Yeah,
of that darn thing most recently.
That's what keeps blowing my mind. I keep hearing like on podcasts, people talking on Twitter and stuff about it. Like, oh, that's coming out next year. I'm like, they just started reworking the game like
no.
8
I would
months
be
ago.
very surprised if that was to be coming out by next year. This time next year, it's probably going to be like a 2021 type of game.
Yeah, and unless they like secretly rebooted the game like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, then maybe.
Right.
But I don't foresee that. I wonder if we'll hear anything about the Star Fox F-Zero game.
Honestly, at this point and stuff, we would have heard something else from it. I think it was like, quite possibly at this point, it probably would have been one of those fake leaks, honestly. That's what I'm thinking it could have been. Well,
it's from everything I've heard on other podcasts, like that game, like people played that game. Like,
right.
So it sounds like it was real, but kind of the rumor that's coming out lately is that game's been canceled. Especially since a lot of people think it's because of Metroid Prime 4, but I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. But
well, quite possibly.
Yeah. Do you anything you want to mention before we move on?
Well, let's see. For Nintendo at E3, I mean, I know they're going to go a little bit more into Animal Crossing, especially if it's going to be releasing by the end of this year. Luigi's Mansion 3, something we haven't seen too much of.
Fire Emblem will probably touch upon again before it comes out.
Yeah, Fire Emblem, that's a safe bet.
DLC character 2 for Smash?
Yeah, no doubt. There's going to be some sort of emphasis upon a DLC character.
Yeah.
But there are also a couple of rumors around this time now that there may be like a couple more games that may potentially be released. Not the information and stuff possibly may show up at the E3 like direct. Okay. One be like a third-party game, and the other possibly being like an old franchise that hasn't been on a Nintendo system since like 2001, apparently.
Okay.
That's something that's I've been hearing about the rumor mills and stuff from users like Spawnwave and other people that have like kind of have somewhat like insider sources and stuff like around YouTube. So apparently there's been like a something today on some retail sites. I want to say, I forget which ones honestly. It might have been like either like Walmart Canada or wherever the hell it was.
Yeah, Walmart Canada did it again.
But there is some rumors going around that The Witcher 3 may be getting a port on the Switch.
I heard about that. Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be crazy.
Which I'm not sure, but it definitely would be exciting if they actually did. Like CD Projekt Red probably isn't going to be the company that's going to port that game over to Switch, but dude, just having an epic game like, say, Witcher 3 would actually be pretty interesting on the Switch.
How the game would fit on a cartridge would be insane.
Not like how it fits, man, but how the game would run.
Yeah, that too.
That's something too, because
16-bit.
That's a technically like that's like a technically kind of exertive game, like on any type of hardware.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to get it constantly running like about 30, like maybe 60 frames a second and stuff like that.
It'd have to be 30 for it to work, and I just don't know how that'd work.
Yeah, I agree.
Isn't that Daemon X Machina game supposed to be out this year too?
Yeah, I've heard nothing about that since their whole demo that they've had.
Yeah, that was the end of last year, beginning of this year it came out, right?
It was earlier this year that demo released alongside Yoshi's Crafted World and the whole Tetris 99 all in the same direct afterwards.
Yep, you're right. Yep. Okay, makes sense. So I don't know. I guess we will. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with all of them, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But moving on to some other news. So we got a couple Call of Duty stories here. Which one do we want to do first? We'll do the small one first. This one's going to be a little quicker. So, because I don't really have much to say on it. There's some funny tweets online, but other than that, it's not too much. But it's a story. But so the new Call of Duty this year coming out is going to be called Modern Warfare, which is kind of the joke is because Call of Duty 4 was called Modern Warfare, and now this is the 4th Modern Warfare game. So it's kind of funny. And then there was the remaster of Call of Duty. There was like a tweet of like, hey, do you want to play Modern Warfare? Oh, sweet. The 2007 game? No, not that one. Oh, you mean the remastered one from 2016? No, not that one either. So there's been some fun. There's been some funny stuff out there.
Yeah.
When I read that, I'm like, really? But people make some great points. Like my favorite game of last year, one of the best games of the generation last year, it's called God of War, and it's like the 7th God of War game. So, games get rebooted, like just like movie franchises and stuff. They
Yep.
get rebooted all the time, or they kind of go back to the well on a name. And I was talking to a buddy at work about it who like Call of Duty is like that's his game. Like to this day, like he like Call of Duty is always his game. He's like the bro gamer type. That you always hear about. Like remember we always joke about back in the day. He's still that guy.
Oh boy!
And he's all excited once you heard that he didn't even know anything about the game. Nobody knows anything about the game. And I was really excited about the fact it's called Modern Warfare. So it was kind of funny having that conversation with him about it. But I don't know. It's silly that it's called. I think that's called Modern Warfare. It's just kind of funny because the fourth one in the Call of Duty 4 was the first Modern Warfare. It's funny to make jokes about it, but when you think about it, like it's funny. It's just funny to make fun of Call of Duty. I mean, it was always been fun. It's the big man on campus, or at least it was, and it's still one of the big, probably 3 or 4 out there. But I don't know. Like, when you heard this news, what'd you think of it?
Honestly, when I first heard the news, I didn't really care too much about it, only because, for one, it's like the point that you just brought up previously. One of the games that you enjoyed playing a lot last year was the original God of War. And quite honestly, whenever companies want to go through and try to rebrand like a series or something like that, or try to reboot, or trying to kind of mask like how old a series is by like just dropping the numerical number and then just releasing it under like almost like its original name, then it's like a lot more recognizable in sort of that aspect, because like, for example, you have God of War, and then you had like in 2012 or some Tomb Raider and stuff when it dropped, and technically that was like a reboot, but that was like the 5th or 6th Tomb Raider or something like that out of there.
Probably more like the 10th. But
the
yeah,
10th,
you're right.
Yeah, roughly.
It's the ending of a trilogy, but it's like the 10th Tomb Raider game, yeah.
But to be perfectly honest with you, it's like this is like the third Call of Duty game that has like the moniker of like Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
And that, not even like a couple years out, when you had like Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and stuff like that, as a releasable thing with one of the other Call of Duty games.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, you have Infinite Warfare, Advanced Warfare, and then this is the 4th of Modern Warfare. So I don't know, it's like if anything you want to rag on them, it's like they're shitty naming of games at this point.
Well, yeah, you have a good point and stuff, but God, all they have to. It doesn't really matter to me what they call it and stuff like that. They're essentially releasing the same kind of game. It's online squad based, sort of like shooting things. It's like Call of Duty.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. But actually, moving on, sticking with Call of Duty. So Raven and Sledgehammer, Sledgehammer was the third of the 3 with Treyarch and Infinity Ward. As far as making Call of Duty games, they rotate every 3 years. They release a Call of Duty game. Well, Raven was actually going to be co-developing the new Call of Duty that's coming out this year, in 2020, with them. Who Raven always like helps the current one that's coming out every year. They always work with them. They help do like the post launch content, help a lot with the online and stuff like that. So Raven was actually going to be co-developing this one with Sledgehammer. Well, come to find out that Raven and Sledgehammer are no longer co-developing this one. Our 2020's Call of Duty. It's being scrapped. It sounds like almost completely, or a lot of it's going to be kind of fused into. So what's going on is they're making one that's taking place during Cold War, and Treyarch, who just made last year's Black Ops 4, was making their game for 2021, was also taking place. Black Ops 5 was going to be called. Speaking of not shitty naming of games, but Black Ops 5 was coming out in 2021, and that was also going to be a Cold War game. So we're going to have back-to-back Cold War games, which I know Call of Duty doesn't like to do. So what's going on is that Raven and Sledgehammer lost that. Now Treyarch's 2021 game is now being pulled to 2020. If you guys aren't confused or cross-eyed yet, so Jason Schreier, who is like the king of leaks and pulling shit. Usually he's really good about EA. This one's pretty good, really good with Activision. But when he puts together an article, I read them all with Kotaku. They're always long, but they're great. If you want to find backstories or anything, he is your man. Pretty much, if you want to know everything that's going on with BioWare the last like 5 years, he's your guy. Just read his shit. But So I'm just going to read it. There's a bunch of cliff notes here I took, but I'm just gonna, like I said, it's long, but I'm just going to go through everything. So Activision informed developers at Sledgehammer and Raven that both studios will no longer be in charge of Call of Duty games scheduled for 2020. Instead, Treyarch, who last developed Black Ops 4 last year, will be taking over and leading development on a new Black Ops game for next year, Black Ops 5. Raven and Sledgehammer were originally supposed to lead development on the 2020 Call of Duty game. And according to Kotaku, the plan was set to its story was set for Cold War. Conveniently enough, Black Ops 5 was set for Cold War, like I mentioned already. According to Judge Schreier, who cites sources briefed on an overhaul, while Treyarch will take over a leadership role on 2020, Raven and Sledgehammer will act as support studios. Treyarch will be utilizing work previously done in single-player story mode for the campaign. So basically, they're going to like kind of confuse the campaign, some of the work and the campaign stuff together for the 2020 game. One of the main reasons behind the studio switch is reportedly due to the tension between employees from Raven and Sledgehammer. Sources indicate that both staffs were argued frequently over the past year. Reaction at Treyarch are mixed between dismay and excitement because they went from having 3 years to 2 years. Treyarch will now have a 2-year Black Ops to make Black Ops 5. Sources say it may result in a particularly bad stretch of crunch, which has been a big thing over the last couple of years for the video games world. Other sources say they're excited because their gameplay for Black Ops 5 likely won't change as drastically as it did in previous installments. And also this is kind of a little tidbit that one of the Sledgehammer's co-founders left last year and went on to start a new studio in Silicon Valley with the publisher 2K. That studio ended up hiring a good chunk of Sledgehammer employees.
I see.
So, and it says that Sledgehammer has been losing employees ever since. And one little tidbit I want to add in there on top of that is that in 2020, the new consoles was released. So on top of that, they have 2 years to make a game, and now they're going to probably release that thing for 4 consoles plus PC. So they have so Treyarch has a big thing ahead of them, but they do have Sledgehammer and Raven, who can't work together, is going to help them make this game. But I don't know, Gables. I mean, like you were talking about, like I love playing the Call of Duty campaigns. And understandably so. I think like a lot of people, I just don't care anymore. It's easy to say that because some of the Call of Duty for me has been very hit and miss over the last, I don't know, decade or so. Coming from this, what are you thinking though for Call of Duty?
It is kind of concerning considering that you have like Sledgehammer and Ravensoft both like at each other's throats, quintessentially it sounds like, in terms of just not just like coming together in terms of helping out this game though, but it kind of signals a little bit of the tension, the atmosphere there at their studios as a whole because of this whole random like crunch thing, trying to create the new Call of Duty game and stuff. And also it doesn't help matters that they are, like Sledgehammer's like one of their founders or something like that creates a new studio and stuff, and like all the other workers were like trying to follow in suit. So there must be something along the lines of there must be something deeper going on inside there that we're not well aware of, because in order for like all those people to start leaving there almost like en masse, it's like it had to have been something a little bit more substantial in sort of that way. And immediately what crosses my mind is a lot of the like earlier on this year or something like that, when Activision released a whole bunch of their employees and stuff like that from like Blizzard and this and that.
Yeah, yep.
Maybe a lot of those other workers over there, like Ravensoft and like Sledgehammer, are kind of feeling kind of the same way, that kind of crunch in order to try to produce. And then all of a sudden it's like Activision as a whole probably realizing, okay, there are so many employees that they're losing in terms of these studios that now they got to have Treyarch involved in order to try to subsequent like fill in for the losses and stuff, because there's now like not enough adequate people working inside to help produce that particular game that they were going to be releasing this year, I guess. So it's like, okay. Honestly, at the end of the day, what I'm feeling about this is very concerned that the product that was going to release for like 2021 being moved up is going to take a bit of quality hits in terms of not just development issues, but in terms of like what it actually will be shaping out to be. Because if there's anything we can learn from the past year or so in terms of major crunches for games, a lot of the times if you don't have structure, any type of structure that's like really substantial to it, it's gonna crash and burn. Kind of similar to a game that released earlier on this year by EA, Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Anthem.
Yeah, it's like that also had a tumultuous kind of like a development, and also the crunch over there with BioWare, to the extent where it kind of parallels to an extent to what's happening currently right now with Activision in terms of having their current like line of Call of Duty games being developed by multiple different studios in house. So it's like, ugh. I feel for the gamers that want to play the Call of Duty series in general. At the same time, it's like I feel very like sorry for the people that are working over there right now with Ravensoft and for Sledgehammer. Just like, here you have a bunch of their coworkers or something, they're like leaving and stuff, or like probably because the atmosphere is probably a very low in morale, and probably like all sorts of various crap we're not even well aware of, or probably we're not going to be aware of up until maybe we're going to hear more about it in the coming months. But it's like, yeah, if I'm a fan of Call of Duty right now, I'm kind of concerned what the next 3 to 5 years is going to be for this franchise.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of curious. I'm curious what's going to happen with, as Sledgehammer being pulled out of the rotation completely, because they've been in the rotation, I want to say, since 2013, 2014, so the beginning of this generation. So what's going to happen with them? And then Raven on top of that. But Raven, like I said, they've always been like a co-developer of these games. So I'm curious to see what happens with them after that, because that totally, like, it's the first time I was reading. It's the first time the rotation has been messed with since 2012. Yep. It was like Black Ops 2, where they, that was just, all they did was they added in Sledgehammer at that point. So they added a year. Now we're subtracting a year, and it concerns me because, Black Ops 4, the big thing behind that was like they added the blackout mode fairly quickly and one of the big reasons was the campaign didn't come together. And so they had to pull the campaign. I heard it sounded like it was being pretty. People that like talked about it, sounded like it was something different and pretty cool they were doing. And to hear that, like, it didn't come together. We had 3 years to make it. We couldn't pull it together, so we scrapped it. Now we're going to give this same people, Treyarch, they couldn't put together this campaign in 3 years. Now we're giving them 2 years. And I understand they're going to pull some. They're going to have some stuff for the game that's been in development for about a year and a half now. They're going to have They're going to have the help of Sledgehammer and Raven. On top of that, with all some of their stuff they made, because they're making the same game, essentially with same era with Cold War. On top of that, so maybe they can pull it together. I don't know. But these two companies couldn't work together. Who knows how Sledgehammer? I mean, Raven's worked with all three of them for years now. But how is this going to work together with Treyarch, with Sledgehammer? Who knows? This is going to throw off Sledgehammer now, because instead of making their own game, now they have to work with them. So does that mean they're going to be able to pull a new game together in 2 years or 3 years? How's it going to work? I don't know. I just, the more I think about it, the more it just kind of scares me for that game, because Black Ops was my favorite of the, well, I shouldn't say the first Black Ops is probably my second favorite behind Infinite Warfare, as far as Call of Duty goes. But
it's definitely my favorite though, Black Ops, the original one.
Yeah, but you haven't played Infinite Warfare. It's really good. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of scared, because I didn't care for Black Ops 2 or 3. Black Ops 4 was cool, but the blackout mode was awesome, I thought. But it just kind of, just like Fortnite and PUBG, I played them for a little bit. And I'm just like, that's not my game. So like most battle royale games for me. So maybe this will pull me back in, because Cold War was Black Ops 1, and then that's my. Or no, was it Vietnam or Cold War? I can't remember. It was Vietnam. Never mind. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. I always, whenever I hear Black Ops, I hold out hope, and I look back with like fond memories of playing Black Ops 1, and loving that game. So I'm gonna hold out hope for this and hope it's great. Same with Modern Warfare. I mean, hopefully it brings back like the great days of what Call of Duty was in like in the 2000s. Even though it's silly to say that, because it's still like the best selling game like every year. So I don't know. Like I was saying with like wrestling at the beginning of the show, like when it's hot, it's like the best. When Call of Duty is great and it's on top and it's excellent, it's like the best. For shooters, anyways. So hopefully we have that again with maybe Modern Warfare, and then again next year with Black Ops 5. But like I said, the 2020 thing is kind of weird, because like the new consoles was coming out then. So Like that's a lot on these guys on these guys' plates now, where they have to make. They were developing for probably the next generation's consoles. Now they have to work on the previous ones with the new ones. So I don't know. It's gonna be, you're talking about 5 consoles instead of 3, and that's if I'm assuming they're not going to Switch, but that's assuming they're not going to Switch. But moving on real quick to our last topic, like kind of like the Modern Warfare story, not a lot to it. Kojima did like a little teaser thing a couple days ago, or he put like this little 15-second video together on his Twitter, saying help us reconnect, and there's like these 2 hands together. And then today we had another one. It says create the rope, and then it was talk about how that we're going to be on May 29th that we're going to see the next trailer for Death Stranding. So classic Kojima shit doesn't make sense. Even when you play the game, it still probably won't make sense. All the main voice actors like Norman Reedus and a bunch of other people, pretty much everybody that's involved with anybody famous involved with this game, tweeted out today or yesterday about I think it was last night, about this game, and the new teaser coming out. I don't know, Gables, like I'm definitely probably the biggest Kojima fanboy of them all, as far as like when we do this podcast, which isn't, I guess, saying a lot, because Justin was he jumped to Metal Gear Solid 5, and I don't even know if Jake ever liked Metal Gear Solid games. But I mean, you've definitely been like, you were more excited after the Death Stranding gameplay video we had last year at E3 than I was. And I'm a fanboy of Kojima. But like, where are you on this? Are you excited for this, or what are you with Death Stranding?
How I am with Death Stranding right now, I am very excited for the concept, because this is the type of sci-fi-esque type of settings that I actually kind of like in terms of my content, because it's like, it's a new type of world, right? And it's very mysterious. It's obviously on the lines of what Hideo Kojima is pretty much known for, and that's a lot of batshit crazy stuff mixed in with any and everything he could possibly think of.
Yep. So
it's like, here's the thing, man. It's like, I've been a fan of the Metal Gear Solid games for like over, like, what is it now?
Over 20 years?
Well, actually, I didn't play my first Metal Gear Solid game until like around 2004, 2003, 2004, or something like that, when Metal Gear Solid...
15 years.
Like, maybe the Twin Snakes was the first one I think I played.
Yeah, that game's badass.
The Twin Snakes I played first, and then all of a sudden Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty was the next one. And I remember that because I bought Metal Gear Solid 2 first, but I wanted to play through the first one, and I ended up doing that on the GameCube. But anyway, tying back to Death Stranding, I am very excited about it. I want to see more gameplay of it, and quite honestly, every time they reveal a new trailer, every time Kojima like unveils like a new trailer for the game, it intrigues me more, because I know next to nothing about what's happening, but I'm more intrigued about experiencing the world for myself.
You just described all of Metal Gear Solid. I just want to point that out with you. I don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
Right now. I want to keep going.
Exactly. He's applied the same type of like kind of intrigue that I was interested in playing the Metal Gear Solid games back in the day, and then all of a sudden it's like him with Death Stranding now. It's like kind of feel like almost the same thing as like how a Metal Gear Solid was back in around '98.
Yes. Like I said, I'm definitely a huge Kojima fanboy. So when I say something like that I love about it, you got to take it with a grain of salt, because I probably love it 10 times more than I really should. But I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see more Death Stranding, but I'm at the point now where like I just want to play the goddamn game. Like,
I hear you.
The more we see of it, the more confused I get, the less sense it makes. And that's just classic Kojima. It's kind of like me with like Metal Gear Solid 5, where I'm like, just give me the release date, because I know you're going to delay it at least 2 times before we play it, so we can just start the delay cycle now. Just tell me it's going to be coming out in 2020, so I know I'll be playing it fall of 2022, or late 2021 maybe, at best. But that's kind of
what the game's not releasing this year. We know the game's not going to release this year.
Hell no. Even if he gives me a release date and says, so the trailer's on May 29th, he could tell me it's coming out on May 30th, and I will not believe him. I will not believe him. He could tell me the game's out now, and I'll like, nope, it's getting delayed. For sure, 6-month delay.
Until all of a sudden I send you a picture the next day. It's like, oh my god, Death Stranding is out. You're like, ah!
I could be playing the game, and I'm like, this game's getting delayed for sure. That's how I have zero faith. It's like when a Smash game gets delayed up until this last one, or the Smash game gets announced up until this last one we had. We're like, that game's getting delayed like 17 times. Like that game's gonna come out wherever they say 3 years later. Add 3 years to it for sure. This was like the first one they nailed, and that game came out in December.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't, man. It's a weird emotion where like I can't fucking wait to see this goddamn trailer, but I'm tired of it. I want to play the goddamn game. I'm over it. I cannot get any more wrecked right now. Okay, like it's fully wrecked. Like it's been 6 hours. I need to go to the hospital, but I'm too ashamed to go. Just give me the goddamn game, please. That's where I'm at right now. Give me the fucking game. Fuck. I'm a little drunk right now. I've had a few beers. We did like this weird, like we're going to do 30 days no drinking thing. We made it 21 days. So we didn't make it full 30. So my tolerance level is not what it was once. So I've had like 5 beers. I'm a little drunk now. So Tyler's in rant mode. But moving on. Actually, you know what? That's the last topic, Gables. We're out of topics.
Yep.
Give me the fucking game, Kojima. Fucking asshole. But we still got to talk about what we've been playing.
Yep.
Gables, I want to go first because I'm really excited
All
about
right.
this.
All right.
It's the last week of May, and I beat my first game of 2019.
All right.
So usually at this point I've beaten like a dozen games. This is my first one I beat. I beat Mortal Kombat 11.
Oh, good.
Yeah, beat it today. Actually, it was funny though because I played like I pretty much spent a good chunk of the day Saturday. Like I got to like chapter 6 or 7 like 3 weeks ago, and I just haven't played it because I haven't been digging the story. Like I thought the story in 9 was incredible. 10 was really good still. Was really good, and they added all these new characters I thought in a really cool way, and I really enjoyed it. And this one I was like, I'm not really digging the story, which is silly because it's a fighting game, but I wasn't really digging the story.
Right.
So I kind of like turned off a minute, and I was playing I played a lot of Picross 3 over the last few weeks. Love Picross, and then the third one came out. Playing the shit out of that. I did play my first game of Tetris 99. Did not go well. I didn't even crack top 90. Didn't go well at all. I got my ass whooped. So Saturday I just finally sat down. I'm like, just need to play it, work through it. So I ended up playing it and got all the way to I didn't even realize it. I quit playing it on was it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. And I quit playing it, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm towards the end, babe. I'm gonna just knock these out real fast. She's like, oh yeah, that's cool. So she's sitting there watching me play it, and I had like 2 fights left. And I was like, so I beat the game. I had like 10 minutes left, didn't even know it. So I finished the game. I still came away from it overall with the story of like, it's meh. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we like the new villains they've added are just, I think like Shang Tsung was in 9, Mortal Kombat 9 when they rebooted
Right.
it, and he's obviously the best bad guy in the franchise. And with Goro's dead, Shang Tsung's dead, so they add these new ones, and they just don't connect the way the other ones do. And they talk a lot about the backstory of Mortal Kombat, which I didn't know there really was a backstory to Mortal Kombat up until like the last one. I just thought it was a bunch of guys fighting each other, and then like Shang Tsung sold your souls at the end, and then like he did like a bit babe-tality every now and again. So like I'm just going through like, and that's a lot of it. Like in Mortal Kombat 11 is they're like doing a lot of like they're bringing the NetherRealm together and all this, and I'm just like, I had no clue these people have been in war for years or generations or thousands of years or whatever. So like the cutscenes are like almost Metal Gear Solid long in between chapters. Like they're like 10, 15 minutes. Like not as bad. I'm being a little not formulaic. I'm boasting a little too much about these. They're like 10, 15 minutes in between chapters, and in between fights there could be 3 or 4 minutes. So I would say half of the game, the story mode, is probably cutscenes. If not, well, no, I'd say more like 3/4 of the story mode is cutscenes. And so like good chunks of them, I'm like, I have no clue what's happening right now. It's like Metal Gear Solid, but makes less sense to me. I just had that pop in my head right now. It's like if you played Metal Gear Solid 4 without playing the rest of the games, like you have no fucking clue what's happening.
Oh my god, so, I could not imagine somebody doing that.
So that's kind of where I am, to a lesser extent, but close. So that's where I've been watching, like playing this game. Like, what the fuck is happening? But anyways, I beat it. The combat, I think since they started like the rebooting of it with like the with the DC games and the Mortal Kombat games, this is my favorite style where they brought back the best 2 out of 3 fighting style, and then like they changed like you had like your special move you can do where you only get one per fight, and it's only until you get like you get one per fight, and are for that's like all 3 rounds if you go 3 rounds, and you don't have the option to use it until you get to the last, like you get down to quarter health. So if you want to use it in round 1, and you could bring it, and that's kind of like a comeback move really more than anything in these games, or in this one. So if you want to burn it in round 1, you better like, it's kind of like, it adds a lot more strategy to it. So it's like, I can kill him right now if I hit this move, but it's like, but if I don't land it now, like I'm pretty much lost this fight, or I'm putting myself in a bad position, because like if you blocks it, you like set yourself up for a really really bad combo, and so it just adds a lot more element to it. Where like, it's like, do I lose this round now, and then just hope I come back and I can save it for round 2 or 3. And it adds some really cool elements to that. I think it adds a little more strategy to the fight. It's like, especially for me, like, and I've talked about, like, I'm not good at fighting games. I'm a button masher, and these kind of fighting games like Smash, I'm better at, because I have a little more of an idea how it works out, because pretty much everybody's like, like they have the same button combos. Like everybody has a down B, down A, like all the things mean the same thing, just different for each character. These ones have like the crazy 6 button combinations, and they're like completely different for character to character. For the most part, like for a good chunk, if you want to get deep into it, they have that. So to add that, and you kind of makes me feel like I was a little better at the game than I actually am. Playing when you get your ass whooped by 11-year-old multiple times, you definitely feel less cool about yourself. But it just kind of comes with life, I guess. Sometimes you get your ass kicked by 11-year-old. It was bound to happen. But I don't know. I still really enjoy this game. If you want a Mortal Kombat, if you like Mortal Kombat, you like fighting games, this game is perfect, I think, for that. I still think it's the weakest of the trilogy for me. But it was cool, because like Mortal Kombat 10, like talking to Justin a lot about it, and other people, and like reading about it. A lot of people were upset because they almost went too heavy with the new characters in Mortal Kombat 10, and like because a lot of characters they have no. It's like Game of Thrones. They don't care. They'll kill off major characters in these games in like the story mode. And then you just won't see them. Like Shang Tsung has not been in the games since 9. Like he's not even a playable character in the games in 11. He was in 10, but he wasn't in 11, as in versus mode. At least as far as I know of. So like they don't have a problem killing them off and not even bringing them back for the next game. So this one they did a good job of bringing back the old characters. Like they did like with the story, like the time travel storyline. So it was cool getting to play as like some of the older characters in the game, like bringing them back and everything too. So I thought I enjoyed that element, but it's still like it's the weakest of the trilogy for me as far as the story goes. As much as you want to it's like complaining about the storyline in a John Wick movie. It's just silly. You're just there for the action and the fighting. So if you want the action and the fighting, it's great. It's better than ever. But if you're looking for a compelling story at all, it's not that. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. I'm trying to figure out what my next game's gonna play. I have Yoshi's Crafted World. I'm like 2/3, or about a quarter of the way through, about a third of the way through. I'm sorry.
You might as well finish it up.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but like I'm looking at like Days Gone, but I've heard that game they're still patching that game like crazy. Anthem, same thing. I'm probably gonna wait on those 2 games, and I heard neither of those games are like super pickup right now. Metro, I want to play. That's probably the game I want to play the most. But I think I might go with Rage 2 next, just because I've been like clamoring for like a really just fun blow shit up kind of game. And plus we got Doom coming out later this year, so I think I want to get that.
Oh, I forgot about Doom Eternal. God, man, bless.
I think about it literally every day. I think about it every time I have sex.
That's the first time I've actually thought about that game in like a good couple months, honestly.
Every time I masturbate, I think about that game. That's a fun fact for you guys. Now, next time, every time we play, when Doom Eternal comes out, I want to think about that moment that we just had here. That's what we're gonna think about.
All of a sudden, you just hear it's like the whole room is like Doom Slayer, like oh god.
Yeah, so that's me. Oh boy.
Your girlfriend comes to the room. What the hell is this?
Are you playing fucking Doom again, Tyler? Yeah. I should probably tell her that before she hears this on the podcast. Babe, the real thing I've been thinking about never mind. Is
no. That's not gonna go over well.
I'll start packing her stuff now. Anyways, holy shit. I hope she didn't hear that part. I'd be in a lot of trouble if she heard that. She's not yelling, so I think we're okay. But Gables.
Well, you have a girlfriend. I don't. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she listens to the show sometimes. So hopefully she'll just tune out in the first 5 minutes because she hears us talking about wrestling. And then she'll just not listen to the rest of the show. But Gables.
Yes.
What have you been playing, buddy?
Well, let's see. Over the past couple weeks, I finished up Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight. I 100% completed that game.
Jesus Christ, man.
Dude, I completed that game on every single difficulty, on every single track. And I did the exact same thing that I did Persona 4 Dancing All Night. I got so into the music that I basically just had to take a couple of tracks, like I just did it like one at a time, went through and I just played through each individual song and stuff on particular ranks, on particular difficulties and stuff, and I wanted to see how many I could get of the top rank, which was like King Crazy, and I managed to go through the entirety of that track list on Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and do the same thing like I did in the previous game, where it's like, okay, I'm going to complete this. I did. And what's funny is during the last time that I streamed that game, people were like, oh my god, this... I was like, how the hell are you memorizing all this stuff? The notes are going so fast. I'm like, well, hell, I've been doing this for like a good solid month now. But for real though, it took me like about 35 to about 40 hours actually to complete this game. All in all, and the game is not fairly long. I mean, I already got the Platinum Trophy and everything for that game, so it's like I had that within like 20 hours, roughly. Nice. And it took me a lot less time to complete this game than did Persona 4 Dancing All Night. But the tracks and the difficulty, especially on the, All Night difficulty, it was tougher. It was definitely tougher, but I managed to take it one track at a time. The thing I usually do with these dancing games is I usually start from the easiest track of that difficulty and work my way through the playlist, and then all of a sudden go back to that easiest song. And I noticed that every time I do that, I would retain a lot of what I had learned previously by completing later tracks in that track list. And I got to the extent where I literally had like 2 songs left. I managed to get one, and then I waited exactly a couple days later, and it was right around the time where I had bought my latest game, which was Castlevania Collection. And that same day that I started playing it, I went back to Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight, and I got the last King Crazy rank on the very last song, the hardest song, mind you, on that entire game. Oh god, and here's the thing, with these music songs, these Persona dancing songs, they are ranked through like star difficulties and stuff. This one had one above the maximum, quintessentially, and I managed to go through and complete that. So I'm very happy that I have gotten that done and over with. I have decided for the time being that after completing my second music rhythm game in a row, that I am going to take a couple months off before I try starting Persona 5, Dancing in Starlight. Maybe much preferably after I beat Persona 5, whenever that is. But that pretty much leads me into the next game. Well, actually, the next game collection that I'm delving into, which was the Castlevania collection, like I was just mentioning a moment ago. So, what the Castlevania collection is, for everyone listening out there, it's a basic bundle that includes the first 3 Castlevania games on the NES, the 2 Castlevania games that were on the original Game Boy, you have the Sega Genesis, like a Castlevania game, and also you have a game that was not released stateside called Kid Dracula, which was basically a quirky platformer that is loosely related to the Castlevania series. It's not really until you go through the end of that game where you actually get a little bit of hints and references towards like actual Castlevania. But here's what exactly that I've been doing with this game. So immediately from the get-go, the number one thing that enticed me to buy it was having a digital version of Castlevania Bloodlines, the Genesis classic from back in '94. I started playing that game. I got really into it. I streamed a little bit of myself playing it, and I managed to beat Bloodlines on stream, even though it took me about a 2.5, like 3 hours, especially with one of our friends of the show, Miss Rose, watching. But here's exactly what I've done playing through this collection set. I've went through Castlevania Bloodlines twice. One as John Morris, and the other one on expert mode as Eric Lecard. Which basically, the differences between those two, John Morris is quintessentially the Belmont-like character, where he's using a whip and using like various like his own set of like sub-weapons that he has, while Eric Lecard he uses a spear. And the thing about the spear is you can charge up certain attacks. You can actually charge up this jump attack, which is very cool, Tyler, where it's like you hold down on the D-pad, and quintessentially he goes into this animation where he's revving up his spear, and he goes and he actually can jump to like a higher platform, like higher reaches than what John Morris can do. So when you're going through the game, there are different ways you can traverse through some stages that you basically couldn't have done with the other character. Like, for example, there's a stage where John Morris, he basically goes through, he uses his whip like a grappling hook, and he could swing through certain portions of like the terrain and stuff. But you can't do that with Eric Lecard. No, what you got to do is, for that very same stage, you have to pretty much use your spear to catapult yourself to higher platforms that you weren't able to reach from before, and kind of make your way through the stage like that way. So there are very much like key differences between the characters, and both of them feel pretty awesome to play. I'm not gonna lie. So going through and completing Castlevania Bloodlines, that was one game that I went through and beat. The other was the original Castlevania, which quintessentially, after playing through Bloodlines for so long and stuff, going through the original Castlevania was not that difficult at all, especially with save states. So basically what I do is I go through and I get the holy water. I keep the holy water with me this entire playthrough, pretty much. I pick up the little, like, sub-weapon little pieces and stuff that say, like, maybe, like, 2, 3, and then, like, this, like, other type, like, golden thing. They look like maps, right? But what they are is little key things that make you toss your sub-weapons faster. And so the faster you throw your sub-weapons, you can actually lock specific enemies until, like, they're, like, almost in place, and just defeat them, like, then and there. That's essentially what I did with some of the later bosses inside that game, where if you're playing against, let's say you're playing against the boss Death in the original Castlevania without the sub-weapon like the holy water, it's an incredibly difficult fight. You have to go from side to side, dodging like about, I kid you not, maybe like 5 to about 7 sickles. They're each passing things, and you're trying to navigate and try to predict these randomly generated spears where they're going to be at, while trying to hit Death with your whip. So basically, I've used a strategy which I've known about for a while and I've used previously, which was use the holy water on Death and lock him into place. And essentially what it happens is it traps him inside this animation where once you use the holy water over and over again alongside the whip, he'll basically stay in place as you're just kicking the shit out of him, and it ends up destroying him. But funny thing is, when you go to the later stages, when you finally face off against Dracula in like both of his forms, the first stage of Dracula, it's very simple. He basically comes through, he appears and stuff, you have to hit his head and dodge the fireballs and stuff that he shoots out, and once you whittle down his life bar and stuff, and he goes into his second form, you basically do the same thing like you did in the death battle, where you just use like all these freaking like holy water items alongside whipping them, and quintessentially, this final form of Dracula is supposed to be like one of the toughest forms in this game. And he is. He's quick. He has a lot of damaging moves that take away more than like a quarter of your life if you're not careful. And here I am. I'm with like almost like a full set of hearts with my holy water and stuff. And I'm locking him into place and just kicking the shit out of him like 1-2. And I ended up beating the original Castlevania that way. And yeah, that was a pretty fun playthrough. I didn't have too much difficulty with that. However, I cannot say the same for Castlevania Adventures, the Game Boy game that I hadn't played through in like a couple years because of how bullshit that game is, the way it controls, the way it runs. Oh boy, I didn't like playing that game when I was playing it on my 3DS. And while it's propped up on my big screen and stuff and I'm trying to play through it, I immediately start to remember why I don't like the game at all to begin with. I played through the entirety of this game, right? and the game is stuttering. It's an early Game Boy game, and this is from like a developer that did not know how to program, or actually I could not get the full extent of the Game Boy processing power going. And it's clear to see because of how often the game chugs when there's multiple characters on the screen. The controls are piss poor, to say the least. Christopher Belmont, like, he basically moves so slow to the extent that there are things that can literally, like, just outpace him. Some enemies are, like, faster than him. And because I can't immediately turn on a dime and, like, hit something, it makes it much more frustrating in that aspect. And what's kind of funny is, like, when you're traveling up and down ropes, you don't have the option to go down faster. You have to basically watch as a slow-ass animation moves its way down the freaking screen and try to dodge things like these huge boulder-like eyeballs, right? There was particularly one stage in like that I can remember off the top of my head where I'm transversing across this bridge or something, like in this underground cave, apparently. And I have a bunch of these boulder-like eyeballs that are coming my way. So instinctively, I try hitting one of them, and not forgetting clearly what happens when I do that. The eyeball explodes, and part of the bridge goes and gives out. So here I am, I can't jump to the other side of the bridge because I stupidly hit this eyeball and explodes and takes out part of the bridge that I have to do. So I have to try to jump over it. I fall into the pit because of how much Christopher Belmont has cement shoes, so he just drops to his death in the pit and have to restart that section over again. But going through the bosses of that game, the bosses are not readily difficult. Dracula at the end of that game wasn't particularly difficult at all, but it was still kind of a pain in the ass. But the sequel, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, that game is a better Castlevania game than its predecessor. Oh my god, it's like night and day with this game. Immediately when you start up the game, the music sounds better. You actually get to see bits of the animation that look much more fluid. It plays more fluid. There are actually features that they added in, which no doubtedly that other players back in the day were like, you know what, why does he move like ass? And so it's like, okay, let's go ahead, let's make him move down the rope quicker. And I'm like, oh, thank God, I can actually go forth and make him move faster. It's so funny. He's faster sliding down a rope than he actually is walking across the stage. But the bosses, I felt, were a little bit more varied this time around. Like, there's this one boss I can remember where it was like kind of like this demon or something that was inside this thing of armor, and he was going from like left to right, like on the stage. And basically what happens is when you get his life, like when you get his health bar like halfway down, he actually sheds his armor and he moves a bit quicker and jumps in the air, and you have to try to dodge him and stuff. Then there was like one in particular which was kind of dumb, where you had these it's basically like something out of Contra, right? We have this giant wall that you're facing like on the right side of the screen, and you have these two freaking heads sticking out of the wall, right? Now, my normal instinct would be to try to, I don't know, take out one of the heads above and then just work my way into the heads at the bottom, because that's how I've been kind of conditioned while playing games of that type, where it's like, okay, I gotta defeat both heads, blah, 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 one at a time. No, that's not the case. It was a lot more easier than I thought, because after I died on that boss the first time, I basically stuck to the bottom head while he was trying to shoot like these freaking like bone projectiles or something. Like it was switching like neck vertebrae or something with the other head and all this other crap. And I managed to beat that boss like that. But let's see. By the end of Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge and stuff, the whole Dracula battle was so much bullshit because you had so little frames to work with. You had to be pixel perfect in order to dodge some of his fireballs. This Dracula doesn't have a second form. Most of your time, you're trying to dodge these stupid like fireballs within like a pixel of like at least pixel perfect. And I cannot tell you how many times I had to try to go through that battle in order to beat Dracula finally, but I did. I'm glad I did. I also went through Super Castlevania 4. It's still an amazing game. I mean, hell, the bosses and everything else were pretty fun too. I know the Dracula battle in that one was a lot more fun than anything in Castlevania Adventure 1 or 2. Because you have this like you have his regular form, right? But he has like variations of when he appears and then he unveils his cape and all of a sudden like, these fireballs start shooting off and all this other crap. But he actually has like little columns of lightning that shoot down and this and that. But Super Castlevania 4 is a lot longer of a game than some of the other games that I had played and beat, like the original Castlevania, Adventure 1 and 2, and Bloodlines even. A lot more different stages. I mean, it had like about, I want to say like about 12 to 14 stages in all. I mean, that was like a gauntlet. But yeah, the other game that I beat from that collection thing was Kid Dracula. It's about 9 stages long. It is so weird, Tyler. I'll tell you this, man. I can understand why initially that this wasn't transferred to the West because of a couple reasons. One, they had to make edits upon the first boss because the first boss, what looks like a ghost, is actually supposed to be a Klansman from like the KKK.
Oh, wow.
And they made a little edit upon that, obviously, for obvious reasons. But the game is so bizarre. You're facing off against like these creatures in like the demon world, right? Where it's like you have to take out these ghouls, these witches and stuff, and various bosses. There's like one boss was like a giant chicken. I mean, literally, a giant chicken was like one of the bosses. And also, the Statue of Liberty is a boss too. But you don't fight the Statue of Liberty. No, it doesn't like violence at all.
Wait, are we talking about Ghostbusters 2 here?
Contest. And how do you beat it in a quiz contest? You have to know a little bits about some bits of like Japanese culture and even some bits of like American history.
Oh, good. Good. Things I know very well.
Well, like, here's one of the questions. Like, in general, it's like something about the Statue of Liberty. It's like, who gave the Statue of Liberty to the United States? And I'm like, France. And it's like, okay. And it's like, oh, all right. It's like, how do you say hello in Japanese? And it's like questions like that. And basically, I had it so where I had one heart, so I had to use save states because if I would have answered wrong, it would have killed me, and I had to go through that entire thing over again. And I'm like, nah, let's do it. Let's do it this way. So the thing about this game, it's a regular platformer, right? And you're supposed to be going through and beating this character by the name of like Garamoth or something. It's like a dragon creature. It's got like 2 forms. You face off against it 2 times. But in between each stages, there's these like little mini games you can choose. One of it's called like Garapon or something, where you basically have this gigantic sort of like wheel, this machine or something, right? It's kind of like a bingo machine, you know, where it's like a lot of the balls are like rolling around. The different colored balls represent how many lives you can gain. From that playthrough, I got 1 golden ball, which is like worth like 7 lives or some shit like that. It's like color coded with everything. But the one mini game I wanted to talk about was it's a mini game called Can, which you have 4 can dancers, right? And you're supposed to guess something, like the color of like what kind of like underwear these can dancers are wearing. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And so here I am. I just go forth and I just randomly start guessing. It's like, okay, red. And all of a sudden I see the animation where it's like, oh, okay, now I'm just seeing red underwear now. It's like, what in the hell? Mm-hmm. And so it's like initially it's like, okay, second color. I go like white. And yep, white. Okay, I got that one right. So the last one, it's like all these various colors. What's the last one I can think of? Okay, blue. And what's funny is I get that one right too. And it didn't occur to me until after I finished that mini game. It's like, here we have a Japanese game. There's can dancers, and they basically I just went through an entire mini game where just showcased the colors red, white, and blue, like in the American flag. Oh, but anyway, it's so weird, it's so quirky, but it is pretty lovable, and it's a hard platformer. It's a hard NES style platformer. So I ended up beating that game today. And so the last thing that's left is playing through 2 games, which are probably one of the hardest games to play through, and another one probably being one of the worst games to play through. I'm talking about Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, and I'm talking about Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. So basically, in order to get every single trophy inside this collection bundle, I have to not only complete Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2, but I have to beat Castlevania 3 not once, not twice, but 4 separate times. Once with Trevor, by himself. One with a couple other like party members, like one with like Grant Danassi, the pirate, Alucard, the son of Dracula, and Saifa Belnades. So basically, they want you to beat Castlevania 3, a hard game as it is, 4 different times, once by yourself, and 3 with 3 different party members. And I'm thinking to myself, do I want to go through this gauntlet or not? It's really got me into a dilemma. Oh boy. So yeah, you know what? Even though I have been playing pretty much old games from the past couple of years, if not older, I still had a fun time going through with what I've been playing the past couple of weeks. So yeah, that's pretty much it for what I've been playing.
All right. Well, very cool. Well, I have to pee very bad, so we're going to end this show now.
All right.
So thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to hear more from us, we have a Facebook page and group, Drunk Dashers Podcast. Like to join us on there on iTunes at Drunk Dashers Podcast. Subscribe to us on there, please. Leave us a 5-star review in the comments. We really appreciate you did that. Also on iTunes at Drunk Nerds Pod. Follow us on there, please. On Twitch, go to twitch.tv/Colonel Gables. On YouTube, Drunk Dash Nerds. Subscribe to us, please. Leave us a comment, big thumbs up, and all that stuff. Really appreciate all that there too. And Spotify, Drunk Dash Nerds Podcast. Follow us on there. And if you guys figure out how reviews work, do that there. I think that pretty much covers everything that we're on. So once again, thank you guys so much for listening. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next time, everyone, I hope you had yourself a fun week. I definitely hope you had yourself a safe holiday on Memorial Day. But most importantly of all, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Hey, Gables?
Yep.
Too sweet.
Too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.